The Middle East is thousands of miles away from the UK. You might think that what happens in the desert over there has absolutely nothing to do with your bank account, your mortgage, or the price of your weekly shop here in Britain. If only that were true. Right now, the escalating conflict in the Middle East is pulling an invisible thread that connects global oil and gas markets straight to your front door. Just when we thought the UK's cost of living crisis was finally ending, the financial markets are panicking. Interest rates are threatening to rise. Energy bills are forecasted to U-turn. And that light at the end of the tunnel we were promised, it might just be an oncoming train. Today, we are looking at the cold, hard numbers. How exactly will the situation in the Middle East affect your personal finances? And more importantly, what are the politicians not telling you? Grab a cuppa, because you need to hear this. Let's start with the biggest outgoing for most families, your mortgage. Earlier in 2025, mortgage holders were actually celebrating. The Bank of England had cut interest rates 4 times, bringing the base rate down to 3. Home loans were getting cheaper. Until last Friday, the money markets were 80% sure we'd get another rate cut this month. Then, the Middle East crisis intensified. Overnight, that 80% certainty crashed to less than 30%. Traders are now betting on just one cut all year. Why? Because war creates inflation. And central banks fight inflation by keeping interest rates high. The National Institute of Economic and Social Research ran the maths. If energy costs stay high for a year because of this conflict, they predict the base rate could actually climb to 4% by 2026. And here is the ruthless part. The banks didn't wait to see what happens. The pricing of fixed-rate mortgages is based on something called swap rates. In response to the conflict, these swap rates hit 30-day highs immediately. Lenders literally paused their planned rate reductions in real time. The impact was instantaneous. If you were holding off on fixing your mortgage hoping for a better deal, the Middle East just changed the rules of the game. Now, let's look at your gas and electricity. Last week, we had good news. The energy regulator, Ofgem, announced the price cap will drop by 7% from April. That brings a typical bill down to £1, 641 a year. You'd think we are safe. Right, wrong. The energy market is incredibly sensitive to global supply fears. Because of the recent turmoil, wholesale gas prices have surged. Analysts at Cornwall Insight have ripped up their old predictions. They now forecast that by the time we hit the July to September cap, your bill could jump to £1. That is a £160 hike, completely wiping out the April savings. If this conflict drags on, the Resolution Foundation warns it could add over £500 to a typical household energy bill this summer. This is what I call the boiling frog economy. They turn the heat down slightly in the spring so we relax. But the global markets are preparing to turn the burner up to maximum by summer. And remember, unlike a Netflix subscription, heating your home isn't optional. Which brings us to your daily life, the petrol pump and the supermarket. Just on Tuesday, the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, proudly declared that people in Britain would be over £1, 000 a year better off by the next election. The official forecasters predicted a typical working household would be £300 better off over the next year. But there's a massive catch. Those calculations were finalized before the latest surge in Middle Eastern tensions. Let's look at reality. Oil just surged above $81 a barrel. The RAC reports petrol jumped nearly 5p a litre, and diesel over 3p in a matter of days. If oil hits $90, we are looking at 140p a litre. If it hits $100, nearer 150p. And every time it costs more to put diesel in a delivery lorry. It costs more to put food on the supermarket shelves. We are already seeing food price inflation heading in the wrong direction, rising back up to 3% this month. That £300 extra you were supposed to have. The Resolution Foundation says the economic fallout from this conflict could erase it completely. The political promise of being better off is built on perfect, peaceful global conditions. But we don't live in a perfect world. Finally, what if you have money in the stock market or a workplace pension? The UK's FTSE 100 lost about 3% of its value early this week as the crisis escalated. If you speak to investment firms like Fidelity, their advice is simple: don't panic. Don't jump in and out of the market. And on paper, they are completely right. If you have 20 years until retirement, a market dip means nothing unless you sell your shares and crystallize the loss. Assets like gold, healthcare, and utilities usually weather the storm. But here is the truth the financial gurus miss. Patience is a privilege. If you are a pensioner, currently using pension drawdown, meaning you need to sell your investments right now to pay for your weekly shopping, this is the worst possible time for the market to drop. You can't tell the supermarket to wait until the stock market recovers. While the wealthy can afford to wait it out, everyday people feel the immediate impact. So, how will the Middle East affect your finances? It is the invisible tax on everything you buy, borrow, and burn. The era of cheap money and stable prices isn't returning as quickly as the politicians promised. My advice: don't rely on government forecasts. Look at your mortgage renewal dates now. Prepare your budget for a potential energy shock this summer. And keep a close eye on your pension strategy if you are nearing retirement. Now, I pass the question over to you. Have you already noticed your grocery receipts creeping up or the price at the pumps changing? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. If you appreciate the raw, unfiltered truth about the UK economy, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. Keep your finances safe, and I'll see you in the next video.
So sad the reality, the Scotland but keep going. How you manage your podcast? Tell me in the comment. Thank you for watching. See you.